What is Veterans Day?
A day where other people who were in the Army or Air Force. Veterans Day is when we serve our country.
Veterans Day is a day that we support the people that served in the Army and that took the risk to save our lives and protect this country.
To celebrate the people that fought for our country.
Veterans Day is a day that we take to honor our veterans for all that they have done for us.
Veterans Day is a holiday to give thanks to the men and women of the armed forces.
So Veterans Day is a federal holiday set aside to honor veterans, both past and present, for their achievements and selfless acts defending our country.
Day to honor the veterans.
Veterans Day is a celebration of the men and women in our armed forces that fight and die and just fight for our freedom.
Veterans Day is a day to remember those who have served and remember those who have paid with the ultimate price so that we can enjoy everything all the freedoms that we have today, from what we want to do, what we want to be, where we want to go.
A day to honor all the women and men that have fought for our country.
Veterans Day is a day to honor those who've served in our country, in our military, men and women who've served here and abroad.
Veterans Day is an opportunity for people to acknowledge the service that men and women have given to their country, oftentimes making the ultimate sacrifice.
What do you think is the most important way to honor veterans on Veterans Day?
Learn more about them.
The most important way is in my opinion, is most important thing I think is like saying thank you and if they are homeless and stuff, say best thing is to help them out and because what they did for us and help them back.
To thank them for their service and the programs that they have at schools.
I think it's important that we honor veterans by just saying thank you, just letting them know that we appreciate them and everything that they have done for our country.
Most important way to honor veterans on Veterans Day is to show you how much you appreciate them and give thanks to them.
I think the most important way would be to get involved. So going out and volunteering with organizations that are built around helping veterans.
To have programs and teach younger people about them and their stories and what they did for our country.
Letting them know how much we appreciate them, how much we appreciate what they've done.
I said just to take a moment in our busy lives to remember those who have served and just say thank you. Thank you for serving.
Having programs like we do at school and introducing veterans that have passed and are still living.
I think programs like you're doing here at the school are really good, and I also know that it's appreciated just when people say, hey, thank you for your service.
I think just by having programs like this, but other ways of doing it are in the community. There are ways that people honor veterans through restaurants and so forth like that. Doesn't have to be a lot, but it's just being remembered.
Why do you think it's important that we set aside a holiday to honor military veterans?
Because they work so hard.
I think it's important because it supports them who risk their lives, and if it was never really for them, some of us wouldn't be here, and who knows what would have been happening to our country.
So we can recognize them.
I think it's important that we set aside a holiday so that way the veterans know that we appreciate everything that they've done for us and to know that they're not forgotten.
I think it's important to set aside a holiday so we can show how much we appreciate them and give thanks to them, because we wouldn't be where we are to this day without them. We wouldn't have the rights that we have to this day. You know, it's because of them that we get to sleep peacefully at night.
I think it's important to just remember the sacrifice that these veterans have made. It's not an easy decision to join up with the military, and not everybody can do it. Not everybody's cut out for it. So I think, it's important to remember those that have made, the selfless act of, joining up and taking that oath,
So that they know that we appreciate them and all that they've done for us.
Because they do something most people do not do, and they do it willingly.
I think it's important that our country was founded on freedoms that should be given to every citizen. Without those people who made the choice to serve, those freedoms would be attacked, and having a day to recognize those who gave up certain freedoms to defend others' freedoms, honoring those for one day, I don't think is a big price to pay.
Because they are the ones that have fought for our freedoms.
It gives them an opportunity to realize that people are thankful for what they've done.
Oftentimes, not just veterans, but other folks get forgotten. And as long as there's a holiday there, at least once a year, folks remember that veterans have oftentimes served that ultimate sacrifice and died for our country.
What lessons do you think younger generations can learn from our veterans?
Younger people, I think, can learn is what goes through and what happens after, and maybe what happened during it, and what it just really means to say thanks, and how those little things do a lot to them, or just give them a little snack or stuff does a lot to them.
To make sure to take Veterans Day seriously. I think younger people can learn respect, because they need to respect veterans and everything that they have done. Learn that there is a risk that comes with doing all of that.
Personally, I think that they can learn how, about how it came to be with getting their rights and freedoms, because unfortunately people nowadays take everything for granted. And that kind of stems back to that previous answer. Like I said, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be sleeping peacefully at night. We wouldn't be roaming around in freedom like that.
I think younger generations can learn. I think veterans have a lot to teach people. I think things like perseverance and loyalty and resilience are really good things that we can learn from veterans. There's a lot of scary things, going on out in the world. And I think if we just think about, the strength that these people have to keep going even when it gets tough, when it would be easier to just give up. I think those are all big lessons that we can learn from veterans.
If they want to join the Army or any branch in the military, and to be able to fight for us, know that it's okay.
Learn loyalty, sacrifice, bravery, and even outside of those, how to work together, work as a team.
That freedom isn't free. Freedom isn't as free as some people think it is, and there always has to be someone willing to fight for it.
They can learn about sacrifice, and they can come to know that, you know, whether you go for if you lose a limb or you don't lose a limb, if you lose your life, that there are sacrifices that are made during that time.
Well, that it's not all about me, that sometimes we do serve a greater cause, and that cause is our country.
What are some of your favorite stories or memories related to veterans you know or your own military service?
Me and Papa took on sweet and Kool-Aid.
So personally, I don't have any stories towards military service because I haven't served. But my mother spent 20 plus years as a medic. My father was like 16 years in the Army as a mechanic. So it's got its own perks, its own benefits, you know. But there was I met one guy who was he was like 90 something. He was a World War II veteran, and he was telling me about his time that he served in Iwo Jima during the Pacific Theater.
I have a couple relatives that were in the service. My mom, my dad, and my papa were all in. I think with my dad, it would be he was a crew chief on helicopters, so it would be, you know, just getting to go, you know, getting that backstage treatment, getting to go to the bases and see that machinery that he was working on, the weapons that he got to train with, and the crew that he worked with. They were all really cool people. I think with my mom, she was also in the Army. She was promoted to staff sergeant, and I got to attend the ceremony. It was really cool seeing all the people come out to support her. And it's at the end of the ceremony, they put the patch with the new rank on your chest, and it's customary to like punch the patch onto the chest, and they let me come out and do the punching. So that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to be a part of. I didn't know exactly how hard I was supposed to punch her, but they told me it was a good punch, so that was really fun. And with my papa, he was a mechanic on fighter jets in the Vietnam War, and it's really cool getting to, you know, hear his stories of, you know, his experience over there, and just the really cool machines that he got to work on, and just all of his stories, you know, be they embellished or completely true. So
when Mama and Papa were in California, and Papa rode home on a horse and told me, "Mom, look outside, we have a horse."
Looking back over the years that I have service, as I get older, my memories are the friendships that I've made. The relationships are deep. The trust that you have to earn and give. I honestly don't talk to friends from high school, but the friends that I made in the military, I at least talk to them at least once a week. You know, just check, text, say what's up.
I don't really have any stories that I remember hearing when I was a kid or anything. I do know that my dad was in the military. My brother was in the military, and my uncle was in the military.
The story I remember comes from my brother-in-law's dad, Bill Chasteen. He was in World War II, and he drove an ambulance, and he and another guy were driving an ambulance up to a field hospital, and this guy was motioning to them, showing them where to go, and they thought, boy, that's strange. We know where to go. We've been here before. And so that when they got there and got out, they realized that they'd all of a sudden become POWs. And the Germans were dressed in American uniforms. And so they were there for a while, and the Germans said, "You need to get some blankets, because where we're going to take you is going to be very cold." And so Bill went back to the ambulance like he was going to get blankets, and the ambulance was sitting on a hill, so he just put it in neutral, rolled down the hill, started it when he got down at the bottom, and went back and told the American troops what had happened, and offered to go back with them, but they said, "No, you don't carry a gun, we'll go take care of it." And his friend that was in the ambulance said, "I knew that was Bill when I heard that engine start up when it was down at the bottom of the hill."
Well, my own military service, I remember coming back from Thailand, being on a C-130 and over the Pacific Ocean, halfway between California and Hawaii, and the pilots got a pressurization notification that one of the cargo doors had come open. So they were rushing around, grabbing straps and making sure that the door didn't fly off at about 29,000 feet and suck us out. Also remember that in Thailand that it was always interesting to go get a drink of water out of what looked like a duffel bag filled up with sawdust and ice and let it melt, and that's the water that we got to drink.